Hey guys, welcome to API testing using Postman session 3. As of now, you already learned what is API testing, what are the different features of API testing, what are the different tools we can use for API testing, and also you learned the details about the Postman, what are the different features available in Postman, how to navigate from all the different options in the Postman. In today's session, we will discuss, right, what is the CRUD operation, how we can create a postman request, right, how we can create a postman get request, and if we create a get request, right, what are the different responses we can get through postman. So what is CRUD stand for? So CRUD is nothing but is an acronym that's come from the worlds of computer programming and refers to four instructions that are considered necessary to implement a persistent storage application. C stand for create, R stand for read, U stand for update, and D stand for delete. So CRUD is nothing but the create, read, update, and delete. So persistent storage refers to any data storage device that retains power after the device is powered off or switched off, such as hard disk or a solid state drive. So in case your computer is switched off, right, but you will have some battery power in your computer, right, so still you can access your hard disk or solid state drive, right. So what are the different meanings of the different operation like create, read, update, and the delete? So through create, user can create a new resource but can also modify the underlying state of a system. Through read, user can retrieve a representation of resource. Through update, user can update an existing resource, and through delete, user can delete a resources. So create will be mapped to the post operation in postman, whereas read will map to the get operation in postman or get request in the postman. Update will map to put or patch request in the postman. Deleted will map to the delete request to the postman. So what is postman request? So postman makes it easy to create and send API request. Send a request to an endpoint, retrieve data from a data source, or test an API functionality. User do not need to enter commands in a terminal or write any code. Create new request and select send, and the API responses appears right inside the postman. So that is the beauty of the postman. You no need to create anything. You no need to create any test script. So you can just select the request type, and after that you can enter the endpoint and you can hit on the send button, right. Automatically your response will be retrieved and you can validate different response based on the request type. So API provides a structured way for one application to access the capabilities of another application. Basically, this communication happens over the internet by way of an API server. And client application like mobile apps sends a request to the server, and after the request processes, the server returns a response to the client, right. So you'll be sending a response, and once response is correct, automatically, right, it will send the response. Once the request is correct, it will retrieve the response, right, to the different type, the different body. Okay, I'll discuss it down the line. A request includes the URL of the API endpoint and an HTTPS request method. The method indicates the actions user want the API to perform. So these are the most common methods used in the Postman. Get. This HTTP method is used to access the data from the API. Post. This method transmits new data. Delete. This is used to remove or delete the existing data. Patch or put. This method is used to update the existing data, but difference I will discuss in the upcoming session. So options, with the help of options, right, you can get full description of API methods available on the services. So these are the primary importance commonly used methods in Postman. So what is Postman get request? So a get request is used to obtain details from the server and does not have any impact on the server. The get request does not update any server data while it is triggered. The server only send its response to the request. Means there is no creation, updating, addition or deletion on the data on the server when user is making get request. So what is the meaning? So get is retrieved. So in case you are having some data stored, right, suppose a database, right, say some sort of like student information in school or college, right. So you can get the details, right? What is the, how many classes is there, how many student is there for each and every class, what is the student roll number, what is the student name, what is the student address, like that. So it will not impact anything, but you can simply retrieve the data, right? It is through the get request you can retrieve the data, whatever information is required, right? Specific to student, specific to the page, specific to the class, specific to the section, like that. So get request contains all information inside the URL, and because of that, some people do not prefer to use get request while they are sending some confidential data such as password, right? For example, if user search anything on Google, they using a get request because there is no sensitive information and user is just requesting the page you want to view, right? So user can try to search for something on Google, they will get the same search string in the URL. So in case you want to get some sensitive information like user ID, password, right, other token, so definitely it is not recommended to use the get request. Okay, so we'll create the get multiple get requests in Postman, and we'll see what is the response, how the response is getting triggered. So here first thing is that you need to open the Postman. After you open it, right, you need to log in, so that, right, you can create your workspace and different kind of collections and then the request, right? So once you log in successfully with a username and credential, so it will looks like that, right? So you can create a new workspace first. So you can go to the home, right, in case no workspace is created. So you can go to the home, then you can click on the workspace, right, option. You can see there's an option called create workspace, or in case you are having multiple workspace, right, you can search some workspace. So I'll be creating a new workspace. So create, and you can give called a Postman training, right? I can give summary Postman training for beginner. Okay, so in case it is a public, personal, private, or team, right? So all team member who is assigned to your project, they can access it. Private, only invited team member can access, right? Personal, only you can access, and public, everyone can view, right? So I'll keep as a team, so that my all team member can view, whoever is already having that workspace, right? So create workspace and team, or maybe I can create a public one so that everyone can, right? So if you select the team, so you can create workspace and the team, whoever will be accessing it. But if I keep it public, so everyone can be able to access it. If it's personal, only I can able to access it, nobody other. Privates, only the selected members can access it, right? So I'll create, go for public, and then create the workspace. So the name and summary is required and the visibility is required, so that automatically it will create the required workspace called Postman training. So once the workspace is created, it will look like that, right? In the left pane you can see the collection, API, environment, mock server, monitor, and other details, right? Flows and history. So if you click on the history, right now it will not see anything, not visible anything. So first you need to create a collection. So once the workspace is created, let's click on the collection and let's create a new collection. So you need to create that plus button to create a new collection, right? So we need to give any name, suitable name for the collections. So it will open, you can see, you can give the new name called Postman training, okay, collection, Postman training collection. So after that you can so automatically it will save. You can see the Postman collection can save. So once you create your workspace, after that you need to create your collection, right? And then you can create directly request, or you can create some folder. Within the folder you can segregate the different request types. So I'll create a folder here. Okay, so add folder. So here I can create a folder for so different request type. I'll create it in different folder. One folder for get request, one folder for put request, one folder for delete request, one folder for patch request, like that, right? So I will call get request. Give the folder name called get request. Okay. So after that I will save it. Okay, so automatically you can see the left pane under the collection the folder got created. So this is the folder structure, right? And after that in the folder I can create multiple requests. So I can see there's an option called coming called add request, right? So I'll be creating add request. So whenever creating a request, right, you can see that you can give the request name. So say get request 1, right? I can give the name and automatically it will be saved, right? You can see this is the request, get request 1 is getting created. You can update it, right? If you click on the edit button, you can change the name as and when required. Otherwise the request will be stored in the folder and in the collection. After that you can create select the request type. So as we'll be dealing with the get request, right, we can select the request type as the get, and here I'll first show you with the URL with the for the google.com, right? So I'll enter the www.google.com. So that's why I can enter the endpoint here after I select the request type, right? And then if I hit on the send, automatically response will be triggered here, right? In the lower sections here you can see the response triggered, right? And you can get to know the status code, the total number of time taken, and the size, right? And in the body section you can get different pretty raw preview thing and different format. You can get the cookies section, you can get the header section. So that is all about the Postman response. So I will let you know what is the response all about, right? So response is a message that is received by the server in return to a request that user sent. When user requests something, the server acts upon the request and sends back a packet on the requested information. So response depend on the request mainly. Every request has a different kind of response, and it is very important that user extract useful information from all the response. Postman has beautiful interface for response and it is very user friendly. User can see a lot of information in the Postman for any response without doing much effort. So response interface contains a lot of different things. The user interface has the following information block. First is response status and the information. So this is the response status and the information, right? You could see the response code and then time taken, right, and the size of the responses. Then response body, response cookies, response header. So there is response status and information. A status code notify user about the status of the request. There can be lot of mistakes in the request, and without looking at the status code, user might not always get what went wrong to their request. Sometimes there can be a typing mistake in the URL, right, or there can be a problem at server side. Status code helps user know about what went wrong in something went wrong. Different status code have different meaning, and it does not matter whether it's a get request or any other type of request, right? So it will display different status code. In case you are creating a put request, right, post request, and so you need to enter something in the server, right? So it will response code will be 201 successful, right? Here it is 200 okay. So in this scenario we have status code 200 okay, which means that endpoint is correct and it has returned the desired result, right? We will show some more status code later, right? I will discuss some status code more later, okay? So next one is the time is, right, this is the time taken, right, for to give the response, right, to get the response in the response section. So time is the duration which the response took after user sent the request and receives the response. This is very important sometimes because many projects have service level agreement or SLA, right, for the time it should take a web service to return a response. This time can be used to determine the SLA of the web service endpoint. In case, suppose say your time should take less than 10 seconds, right? Because based on the performance, right? Otherwise it should be error, right? In case it is taking more than 10 seconds, right? It will be problem. So in case your taking is less than 10, so your response is correct, right? So it is working as per your requirement, because you need sometimes you need to do some performance testing or tuning, right? That what is the total time taken, right? So you can do some assertion that it is less than 10, it is correct, so it is taking 2.65 seconds, so it is correct, right? Then next one is the size. Size is just the response size when it will be saved inside the memory. The response size is the size of the complete response and header and cookies and everything that will send along in the response, right? So you can see. So now if you want to save the response, right, you need to click here. You can save as an example or save to your file. So you can save something as a file in your desktop or in your relevant drive, right? So that is about the response status and information. Next one is response body. So you could see this is the different tab is coming: body, cookies, header, right? So a body depicts the body of the response, which is main response content that has been sent from the server. The response body will contain different subtabs called pretty, raw, and preview. You could see pretty, raw, and preview, right? So pretty, in this option, code will show colorfully with different keyword and have indentation in the code, right, which will be useful for reading, because it will be bright in the colorful format, and for each and everything it will be line format, right? So this is better, you can read it easily. Okay, so that is the pretty format in the body section, right? The next one is the raw. So this is almost similar to pretty but shows the code without color and in a single line. So if you click on the raw, you could see it is not colorful way, and it is, there is no line breakup, everything is kind of right in the same line. I mean it, no space, all this stuff, right? Then there is a preview tab. So if you click the preview, right, so preview of the code will show user the preview of the page. So it had had the page been run inside the browser, click on the preview and user will see the exact page as they would have seen inside the browser. So this will let user know the response preview without visiting the browser, right? You can see whenever you head right www.google dot, it looks like that, right? So that you could see the page will open called Google, right? You will say able to see different images, right? And this is the Google sign in button, this is the setting, this is the web history, this is the Google, and this is the search box, this is the Google search, I am feeling lucky button, and these are the, in the downside, this is the different options. So if you open the page in the browser, it will looks like, so it will give you the preview without opening the browser actually, right? Sometime also maybe your UI is not developed completely, right? So preview will help you to get the details, right, whatever internally developed. Okay, next one is that every request has a defined response to it as defined by the content type header. So so you could see here, right, if you go to the body, right, so if you go to the cookies or the body, you could able to see here pretty, if you could pretty format, right? With different format is available. One is the HTML format, XML format, text and auto, right? So in the pretty section, right, the you can see the different format, right? JSON, XML, HTML, text and auto. If you select it, right, to JSON, you will able to see the different thing in the JSON format, right, in the pretty section. In the, if you select XML, you will able to see in the XML format, which is nothing but the equivalent to raw format. HTML format also you can able to see, right? You can able to see the text format, you can able to see the auto format, right? So that is the different format type available, right? So this is nothing but the format content type header format type, right? Then there will be two icons available also, right? This is two rectangular thing, right, which is for the copy the responses, whatever response you are getting, and this is the search button if you want to search something, right? So the icon with two rectangle that user see in the corner is used to for copying the complete response to the clipboard, which is very handy to send the response to user teammate or using afterwards, right? So if you select the copy, right, it will be copied. You can see the copy to the clipboard, right? And if you want to save in something or Excel or Word doc or Notepad, you can copy the whole thing here. So that is the another button available, page is available, you can copy the thing, right? After that, there is another thing available called search button, right? So suppose in case you want to search something with like that Google word, right, whether if you want to search something is present in your thing or not, so you can see that is you can automatically search it, right, with the keyword. So that is the additional two thing available, and I may already mention you can save, right, the response to a file, all this stuff. Then there are two other sections available called cookies and the header, right? So response cookies. So what is the cookies? So cookies are small files which are related to the server files or website page. One user visit a website for the first time, a cookies is downloaded on the client machine. The cookies contains the information which can be used by the same website when they visit again. This helps the website to get user the specific response and specific information based on they last visited. In Postman, user can clearly see the cookies that have been sent from the server as a response. This makes it easy for the client to see what cookies is being saved inside the browser. User cannot manipulate these cookies since they are sent from server. Postman is used just to separate it from the response and have a clear view. So if you go to the cookies tab, right? So whatever information you already seen, right? Said right, domain google.com, what is the time, right? And you can see the HTTP is only secured because this is not secured, right? So that is the information you can get, right? This is the name, this is the value. So in the cookies, every time in case you are passing something, so it will be stored in the cookies. The next one is the header, right? So response header. So header in an HTTP request or response is the additional information that is transferred to the user or the server. In Postman, the header can be seen in the header tab. Once user click on the header, you will be seeing different information such as below. Although every entry in the header is a header item, we will just look at the most important one. One is the content type. This is the content type of the response, right? If you see here, right, you will be seeing multiples like 11 header is available. Here one is the date, right? One is the content type, right? To expires, cache control, right? Cache control, and then uh, content encoding server, content length, right? All this stuff, set cookies. So content type is nothing but the content type of the response. Date, the option shows the date, day, and the time of the response along with the time zone. Server, this option displays the name of the server which is responded by the request. So if you go to the date, right, should be able to see the date, right? Saturday, 30th April 2022, 5:31:25. This is GMT format, right? So along with the date and time format. So that are the different things you can get it, right? Test result you will not able to see right now. Okay, there is no test for this request. So these are the additional information you will get as part of the response, right? So what other thing you can get? You can get the response status and information. So this is the status code, right? And the description of the code, right? You can see if you select here you can get details, right? So standard response for a successful HTML request. The actual response will depend on the request method used. In a GET request, the response will contain an entity corresponding to the requested resources. In a POST request, the response will contain an entity describing or containing the result of the action. So that will vary. This is the total times, right? And this is the size of the responses. You can save the responses. You can go to the body section and you can get the pretty, raw, preview, and format, right? And in the pretty format you can get the different format called JSON, XML, HTML, text, and auto. In the cookies it will store the cookies. In the header section you can get lot of thing, lot of header and the corresponding value, right? So that are the different thing you can do with the whenever you are testing with the help of get request. Okay, so here we will create one more get request. So I'll create one more get request. So you can see we will select the folder and we will create one more get request. So it will be get request 2. I can give the name 2 and you can automatically it will be saved here, right? And it will change the name immediately. If you click here you can change the name. Okay, it is not saved, right? Get 2. You can press save, so automatically it will be saved. So you can see it is coming, right? Now in the get request 2 you can create one more request, right? So say if you go that URL, right, that is the URL available, right? Request.in API user page 2. So that will give you all the details of whatever available in the page 2, right? You can see if you just enter that endpoint URL, right, and if you click send it will give you that it's a lot of responses as well, right? You can see same way the response code is 200 and okay, this is the total second 3 second, right? And this is the total size of that one. And you could see this is the giving you page 2, right? Per pages how many record is there, total record is there 12, total pages is there 12, right? And this is the data, right? This is the coming in JSON format, right? Email ID, email, first name, last name, like that. Similar next one ID, email. Okay, so this will give you 6 result, right? So in the one page, so page number 2, right? Now if you go to the page number 1, right, you can see it will be also giving you 6 more result, right? So it will be starting from the page 1, right? It's starting from the page 1, the ID 1, ID 2, ID 3, ID 4, and corresponding email ID, name, and like that. So in case you want to search something where something will not be there, right, called page number 3, so definitely in the page number 3 no record will be there, right? So you can see the page number 3 part page 6 total thing, total page is 2, and data, it is nothing, no data is available, right? So third bracket you can see it's blank, right? So no data is available. So if you enter page number 0, right, let's see what is coming here. So page number 1, so the 0 also giving the page number 1, okay. But if you give page number any numeric value, right, alphanumeric value, right, so let's see what is happening here. Okay, you could see it is still taking, but it is still taking, it is taking the 0th page. Okay, now if you select maybe in case you are giving any wrong value here, right, and if you click on the send in the get request, it is still giving you, maybe you give one wrong value here. Okay, you could see here page not found, right, 404 and not found. So that's why in case your page is endpoint is not correct, right, you will get the response called page not found and the code will be 404, right. In case you give one more slash, right, maybe you can give API here, right, and you can, so page will not found, right. In the if you retrieve that page in the browser also, it will give you in the same option, right, page not found. Suppose if you want to retrieve in the browser as well, right, so let's try to retrieve in the browser. So you can see in the browser also it will display some error, right. So that's why, right, we can get the internal check, right, whether its thing is working fine or not. So you can see in the browser also it will throw some error, it will, you will not able to get all the information. So in case your endpoint is not correct, right, it will throw the error called throw the status code called 404 page not found, right, not found. You could see this is the description here. The request resource could not be found but may be available again in the future. Subsequent request by the client are permissible. Right? If you go to the URL here in the pages, it will still same way it will display, right? So in case your endpoint is correct, right, you can definitely get to the required result here. Okay, suppose say your endpoint is correct, right, suppose give 1, so you will get the result, required result, with the help of get request, right. And you can get to know the body and different format called pretty format, raw format, preview format, and you can get the different type of the format, right, just on XML, HTML, text, and auto. You can get the desired cookies, you can get the desired header, right. You can see now header is changed to 19, so 19 header is available, right. So it will vary from the URL to URL, right, if you want to change, if you want to get the different kind of header information along with the corresponding value. So you can see a date, content type, transform encoding, right, connection, e tag, via, right, cache control, age, right, NEL, all the different thing, server. You can see Cloudflare server is, right. Okay, so that are the different thing you can get. You can get the total time it's elapsed, right, response code, and then the size of that read, right. And if you go to the body, you can copy it, you can search something, and you can save the responses. So okay, so it is still working, it is not loading because it's not valid. So that are the different thing you can do with the help of for the get request. Okay, so CRUD is nothing but the create, read, update, and delete, and you can create multiple requests in the Postman. So first thing is that you need to create a workspace in the Postman. Once your workspace is created, right, you can in the workspace you can create some collection, and after in the collection you can create some folders so that you can segregate the different type of requests based on the folder type. And once the folder is created, you can create the multiples requests, right, with the help of add request. You can create multiple folder, you can rename it, right. You can, if you want to duplicate it, you can duplicate it, you can delete it, you can delete it. So that are the different thing you can do in Postman, especially for the get request. And okay, that's all from today's session. Thank you.